Hey guys, so it has been a while since we last updated you guys, since we last posted on this channel. But yeah, a lot's happened in the last, like 6 or 7 weeks since we last posted something. The last video we did was the adoption shower and kind of talking to you guys really briefly about the adoption shower and everything after that. So after the adoption shower, about 2 weeks afterwards, is when our son came to visit us for the first time. And it's been an experience, seriously. We were going to film this video last week, but I was sick. I had no voice. So we'll talk about that a little bit. You know, we've both been sick. It's just been absolutely crazy the last month or so. But yeah, I mean, it's just been an amazing experience so far. So he came on the week after Christmas. So he was here throughout New Year's and everything. So the original plan for his visit was for him to be here 6 days. And then it ended up being extended because he got here on a Tuesday afternoon. And Lily was feeling a little bit sick right before his visit, so we just thought it was a cold. She ended up getting tested for COVID and everything. And the test came back negative on Monday. So we just thought it was a cold at the time. So obviously, you know, he got here on Tuesday. Everything we thought was good. And then Thursday she ended up retesting. It was Friday. She ended up retesting and ended up coming back positive for COVID. So because of COVID exposure, he ended up having to stay an extra week in quarantine here with us. So his 6-day visit ended up becoming a 12-day visit. And it was just crazy. Just everything that happened. But in the end, I feel like it was definitely a blessing in disguise, him being here that extra week, because the first week, you know, I'll be honest, was pretty rough. Being new parents and jumping into all of this was just really rough. With Lily being sick the first week, it was, you know, she obviously is, you know, she's trying to stay away so that he doesn't get sick and everything. So then a lot of the responsibility is falling on me to kind of have to, you know, get him up in the mornings and breakfast and lunch and dinner and playing and, you know, and spending time with him and everything. So, you know, the first couple of days was just exhausting just because of, you know, his diagnosis with autism. They were telling us how he needed to kind of have a schedule or pre-plan kind of his days and everything. So we took that to the extreme and kind of wanted to plan every minute of every day to know exactly what we were doing when. And keep him busy the entire day, which ended up just exhausting us completely, especially me. It was a tough experience just because we had something in mind. We were pre-planning for everything. We were trying to get ready for him when he got here, and we did not think that I was going to end up sick. Right. So that weekend before, on Christmas Day, I started feeling like a stomach ache. But I always have stomach aches because of my GERD and all of that stuff with the stomach. So I was like, oh, it's probably like a flare-up or something. So I started like taking care of myself, making sure, you know, my stomach was fine. That Monday morning, I felt like my body was not, responding. We went out to do some shopping. So we were getting ready for his arrival by doing some shopping and stuff. And I went to the store and I felt like a train passed over me. I was like walking like a zombie throughout the store. And I remember looking at him and I was like, I do not feel well. So I felt bad, but we had to come back to home instead of continue. Like, I couldn't do it. So we came back home. I kind of took a nap. And we had a call with him in the afternoon. So while I was taking a nap, he went and got a test. I was like, I want to make sure, because if I'm sick, I don't want to get him sick. So I wanted to make sure to do the testing before he got here. I didn't want to expose him or in any kind of way. I didn't feel that bad, but I needed, like, my body was like telling me, you need to stop. So
like he said, I tested negative, so I was like, okay, yay, you know, it's just a cold. I'll get over it in 48 hours. So I started drinking lots of water, like what people normally do for like a common cold. And he came and everything, but my body was still like, I had to take naps throughout the days because I wasn't feeling well, and I didn't want to get too close just in case, because even a cold, you can, you know, I don't want to get him sick with anything.
Right.
So that week, 48 hours came and went, and I did not feel better. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. I start coughing at night. Like I remember we were trying to do story night, and all of a sudden I started coughing and coughing and coughing, and I had to go to the bathroom and throw up. Even our baby was like, "Is she okay?"
Yeah.
So so it was a rough experience. And then that Friday, I woke up. I was like, oh, I feel like my throat is really dry. Went to the bathroom, brushed my teeth, and I did not taste the toothpaste. So
at that point we got really scared.
At that point, I got out of the bathroom and I was like, babe, I do not taste the paste.
Yeah.
So I ran into my closet room and did the second test, and it came back positive.
Yeah.
And that day I was like, oh my God. So now I have to go into the room, quarantine myself not to be exposed. I was wearing masks around the house, trying to keep everybody safe. Yeah. And it was like a rough, because I didn't want to get him sick, but at the same time I wanted to connect with him and spend time with him. So it was like a war inside my head, because I'm like, I don't want to get him sick, but at the same time I want him to understand that I still want to be part of whatever is going on. I wanted to be around him and kind of have him connect with me at the same level that he was connecting with him, because he had to take care of him for everything. Like schedule, I will like kind of do like the prepping of some things, but I couldn't do much. So I saw him and I knew that he was exhausted. I prayed and I was like, God, please, you know, I just want to feel better. But I think also that it was a blessing in disguise, because that gave us an extra week with him. So if we have to like pick apart our experience, I think even through having COVID and not feeling well, I wasn't so bad that I couldn't breathe, or I didn't have the same experience other people have had, which I'm grateful for. So I will, you know, I will say that even then got to turn things around in a way where it was a blessing that he had to quarantine with us. So it was an extra week that gave us to kind of connect and spend time and kind of like create that connection in between him and us.
Right, yeah. Because I mean, if it wasn't for that extra week, honestly, we probably would have just, you know, we would have taken him back and everything would have just kind of gone back to normal. We wouldn't have really felt much of a difference after that first week with him, because it was hard. I feel like it was really hard for me, and he was connecting with me, which was great, and he was really comfortable with me and everything. We were kind of getting a little bit of a routine in that first week, but it was rough. I think it was Thursday night or Friday morning. I don't remember when it was, but we were sitting at the dining table. We had a rough day already because he had some behaviors. He did have a tantrum early in the week and everything that we had to kind of deal with. And at that point, like that night, we were just having dinner. We had, we gotten him ready for his bath time, and he was upstairs in the bathroom, and we were just taking advantage of him just being in the bath on his own for a good hour and a half. For us to just be able to take a breather, because it was just at that point I was feeling overwhelmed. We were sitting there, we were crying, because we were just like, I felt at that point that I was being selfish and just like a failure as a person and as a father, because I felt like I couldn't take care of this child that we now had the responsibility of taking care of, that everything felt so overwhelming. And I didn't want to feel overwhelmed, it's like I wanted to feel that I was capable of doing this. And at that first week I was like, I don't know if I can be a dad.
And on the other hand, I'm just sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't been able to even help. Because at first, usually people think the mother is the one that takes care of things, prepping. And in our case, I was ready for that. I feel that I have experience with my brother enough that, you know, I've gone through behavioral issues and things with him that I felt that I was ready. But I also think that it was a plan from God, because I felt ready and I thought I was, but then here I am sitting here looking at my husband in, you know, in the eye and saying, oh my gosh, I can't even help you. I'm just here. I can't even get too close. I don't know how to help you in this at this point. So we kind of like prayed together and was like, God, you know, this is in our heart and we want to be able to be good parents. And we want to make sure that he's safe, but also that he feels comfortable with both of us, not just him.
Right.
And making sure that, you know, that I was there, but still at a safe distance where we could keep him safe and
right. Because in a way, I feel like, you know, with Lily being sick that first week and everything, I don't know if he was just kind of sensing, or he kind of knew subconsciously that she was sick and she couldn't really get too close. Because then we found him, you know, giving her a lot of pushback. You know, so he obviously he bonded with me very, very well that first week because I was constantly there throughout the week. But with her, it was completely the opposite. He kind of, you know, he would ask for a lot of space from her. She would come into his room to watch TV and he would want to be alone. You know, he would say he didn't really like talking to her and everything, but at the same time, it was like, well, she hasn't really been able to be around him at all, you know, especially after she got that positive test. She kind of stepped back even more, you know, so she's walking around the house with a mask. She's like spending a lot of time in her room by herself because we can't, like, we're trying to keep him away so that he doesn't get sick. So then obviously, you know, he's not really seeing her as much. You know, he sees her 2 or 3 times when she comes out of the room. And it was just like a whole thing. So obviously from there, you know, he's not feeling as connected with her. He's not really wanting to play around with her and stuff, you know, the first week. So it was hard. You know, that first week was really, really rough kind of getting through it. It wasn't until that second week that we got that extra time that we kind of fell into our stride and really fell into somewhat of a routine. I was kind of able to learn to kind of let myself go a little bit with him and not wanting to do something with him every minute of every day because that's
exhausting.
It's exhausting and that's what I thought kind of he needed because that's kind of what we were being told at the beginning. So we were like, all right, we got to keep this kid busy all the time because he gets bored. But, you know, I learned kind of to, you know, let him do things on his own, let him kind of play on his own and do, you know, it's like we, you know, let him watch TV and kind of play with his toys and stuff on his own and kind of, you know, come in every now and then and play around with him, but then get up and do other things as well that needed to get done around the house. And that started to really help at least me to not feel as overwhelmed. You know, that second week, I felt like I didn't feel overwhelmed at all. You know, everything just kind of felt really calm, especially with me starting up work again because I had taken off, or we had taken off a week from work, and then I had to start work again that other week. Thankfully, I work from home, so I can, you know, I'm here and everything, but it was nice to kind of, at least, you know, Lily was feeling better. She was able to kind of take more of the responsibility throughout that second week while I was working. So, you know, they ended up kind of bonding a little bit more, even though it wasn't as much as we would have hoped. It was still better than the first week. You know, I was able to kind of, you know, do my thing, and he respected kind of my space when we told him, you know, okay, I'm going to be working downstairs, just make sure you're not, you know, making a lot of noise or anything because there's, you know, I have to make calls and everything. I'm on conference calls and meetings and things. So, you know, he definitely respected those things. He understood a lot of what we were telling him. I mean, he blew us away with his understanding of things and with, you know, us, you know, setting rules and him being able to follow them and him, you know, being respectful. Even through his tantrums and his behaviors and things, we realized that it was nothing, you know, that we were doing wrong. And it was nothing that we were doing to trigger his behaviors. It was more like he would get frustrated with the video game. And that's usually where his behaviors are coming from, is that, you know, he'd play with his tablet and get stressed out because he couldn't finish a certain level of a game. And that's when, you know, things would escalate. So we've realized early on that giving him more time on his tablet was kind of putting him more susceptible to becoming more frustrated. So we would manage that. And after the first couple of days of him having his behaviors and his tantrum and everything, we realized what was going on. and we were able to manage that. And then the rest of, the other what, 10 days or, 9 days
I think
went
also,
great.
Yeah, I also think that as any parent out there is gonna, we are newbies to all of this experience.
Yeah.
We come in with not having many kids around. Like I was around my brother. Our age difference is huge. I'm 13 years older than my brother, so I kind of had that aspect of things because I took on a lot of the care for him while my parents worked. I that's the only experience I have. We haven't been around many kids aside from volunteering at church and little things like that only takes 1 or 2 hours.
Right.
So we were coming in kind of like being led by what other people are telling us, especially like reading his background. So the him on paper that we experience is not the same person that's in front of us, and now we have to kind of get to know the real him.
Right, yeah.
Like a paper, I've learned throughout my job and other experiences that sadly kids that are in the system or live in an environment like foster or a group home or other things like that, if they have a bad day, that get plastered in a paper and that stays with them forever.
Yeah.
It's not like we wake up, I had a bad day today, I say things, that I didn't mean. I can just take them back and say I'm sorry, and it'll be erased because nobody was writing those things down. But with them, everything is written. So even if he had a bad day, it's plastered in those papers, and he doesn't get to move on from it. So we get to see the worst version in paper, and then we get to see him, which I'm glad that it wasn't the same person. In a way, but also that he prepared us for the worst, and the good thing is he prepared us for the worst, and then we were like, okay,
for us it never felt overwhelming.
We were like pleasantly
surprised. The caseworkers and everything took their time to kind of prepare us before his visit and everything, and they reiterated a lot on his behaviors, on his tantrums, on his behaviors. So, in a way, yes, that kind of helped that they kind of reiterated that. But we went in kind of scared, honestly, of what we were going to expect. We were going to think that this kid was going to have, behaviors and tantrums every day, that he was going to have a lot of issues. Even the day before his trip, when we talked to his foster mom and everything, she was kind of breaking down his kind of daily routine and everything. And she's telling us, he doesn't sleep. He takes melatonin to help him sleep at night, and he was like, all right, he doesn't sleep. Make sure that you put him to bed as late as you possibly can so that he doesn't wake up so early, because if you put him to bed too early, he's going to wake up at like 2, so try and put him to bed at 11 so that he kind of wakes up at around 5, and that freaked us out, because we're like, what are we supposed to do with this kid if he wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning? And we're going in thinking that this kid is going to be awake. That first night we didn't sleep at all because I'm constantly watching the door. We left the door, the door to our room a little bit open. So I'm waiting to see if I can hear him, get up out of bed and everything. And that kid slept amazing. The 2 weeks that he was here, he was sleeping an average of about 10 hours every night.
8 to 10 hours.
8 to 10 hours every single night. He slept all through the night. He gave us no issues whatsoever, which was just an amazing blessing in and of itself. And then not having to experience, we experienced some behaviors and that one tantrum, but at the same time, we were like, all right, this is it.
And the other part also, and a lot of people need to remember, they're kids.
Right.
Kids are going to be kids. So you have to allow him to get frustrated with the game because he can pass it. So it's, in a way, it's really good to see that.
A lot of, and a lot of the behaviors, like the things that we were seeing, I felt like they were normal for a 7-year-old child. It's like he's trying to do something and he's getting stressed out, so he's getting a little bit agitated with it. Like, that's normal for anybody. Like, it's not like only kids with autism are going to get stressed out that they can't complete something. Like, that's not, that's normal to a kid. We went to the store one day, and in the car, we had gotten him a toy at the store, and in the car we were opening the toy, and it was a very cheap toy, and the toy fell apart while we were taking it out of the package. So he got very upset that his brand new toy had broken. That's normal. I mean, if I was 7 years old and my parents had just bought me a brand new toy and it broke out of the box, I would get upset. Like, that's not because he had autism that he got mad. His toy broke, and he's 7 years old, and he wanted that toy because he picked it out at the store. That's normal. Like,
it's like if I buy a tablet or a phone, and while I'm driving home with my new phone, like, you want to play with it.
Exactly. It falls in a puddle and it breaks. Like, yeah, you're gonna get upset that your phone broke,
or the screen cracks, and you're like, I just got this.
Right.
So that's another thing. We kind of have to put ourselves in his shoes for a moment and not only blame it on his diagnosis.
Yeah, no,
diagnosis.
Exactly.
Yes, it gives him challenges, but it also, you cannot blame everything on it.
Right. So, I want to say that 95% of the behaviors and the things that we saw were normal for a 7-year-old child. It's like thinking of, like Lily said, putting ourselves in his shoes and in his position. We're like, all right, if we were 7 and this were going on, would we get frustrated as well? And 95% of the time we'd say, yeah, of course we'd get frustrated, because of this situation. It's normal for a kid. So, I mean, I feel like, yes, it was nice that they prepared us so much for, behaviors and tantrums and things. But at the end of the day, it was normal. And we were able to kind of, obviously after, taking a step back, not feeling so exhausted after the first couple of days and kind of setting our routine, it was in a way kind of easy to deal with his things. He is in a stage where it's nice that we can kind of sit down and talk to him. He can use his words. We can calmly kind of explain to him and tell him, when things are wrong, when he is not supposed to be, jumping on the bed, when he can get hurt when certain things happen. It's like, well, now, remember when we told you that you couldn't do this and now you got hurt? Well, that's what happens. These are the consequences for not following the rules. Yeah. And he would understand these kinds of things.
And also, like, helping him get to solutions himself.
Right.
It's like with the toy that broke in the car. We got home. He was still upset, of course, because his toy is broken. It's all broken. So we went to our chore yard, and we're like, okay, let's do this as a project. We're all gonna fix the toy. So we put all of our names. We made a little picture of the toy, and we put fixing. So we sat on the dining room table, and we got glue guns and a bunch of different things, and we fixed it. And we said, well, now you know that it's not new, it's already broken, and we put it together. So instead of playing with it rough, just put it for decorations. And that's what we did. And now, he was like still playing with it from far, making sure it was safe. And he learned that, okay, now I have to be gentle with this toy.
Yeah, this toy I have to be gentle with because it's, it's like we had to glue it back together.
Yeah.
And he understood that. And, he never grabbed the toy and played rough with it because he understood that toy was sensitive and he didn't want it to break again. So it's just those things where it's just like, everyone was so amazed at how he was responding to things, reacting to things. Even after we had a call and everything with caseworkers and with, foster mom and everything, they were just saying how great he was able to kind of, remember everything that was going on throughout the week, kind of recount in detail his week, the things that were in his room, the things that he did, his toys and all of that. Because, a year and a half ago we were being told he couldn't remember a lot of the stuff that had happened the previous day. So just the fact that he's able to kind of recount all of these things and he's gotten to that point is just amazing. And the fact that he was able to kind of connect with us and connect with this house and the things around him where it was important for him enough to want to remember these things is great, And
I also want to make a little point in between before we go into that side. Because of his diagnosis and how slow we were taking things, he still doesn't know that we're his pre-adopted parents. He thinks we're friends. So it's a little different when doing rules and routines, because he doesn't know that we're his parents. He thinks of us like, okay, he's on vacation here and we're friends. So it's a little difficult, and you have to, it's a fine line that you have to navigate and do things as they come and take things really slow, because they're trying to get them to trust us first before they can tell them, okay, these people are going to be your parents. And even not knowing that little detail, the ability for him to connect with us and the things that he will tell us, it was amazing. So, but I wanted to make sure that everybody knew he doesn't know yet. We're taking things really slow, just for him to be in a place where he can be, you know, he can trust us and he can develop that connection,
right?
So his transition is not as harsh.
Yeah, right. I mean, and now, you know, even with his transition and everything, I mean, you know, people are obviously going to have questions as to when he's actually coming and when he's moving. You know, the original plan was June because we were going to wait until he finished school. But the one thing that happened when we took him back was that he got very, very emotional.
Yeah,
he cried. He cried a lot. I mean,
there was
a lot of crying that day from all of us.
And him.
But it was really rough, kind of seeing him in that condition and seeing him get as emotional as he was when we took him back to the home that's supposed to, for him, feel like home. And he didn't want to be there. He didn't want to stay there. He wanted to come back with us. So we realized there very quickly that he had he had grown attached to us a lot more than what was originally expected. He was going to grow attached to us. You know, so obviously after that, you know, caseworkers and everything kind of reassessed the situation. They were like, you know, he reacted this way. It took him a couple days to even like kind of, you know, stop crying and go back to somewhat of a normal routine and everything. So they were like, you know, with how he's reacting, with how attached he became to you guys in those 2 weeks, we can't prolong this even more. So, you know, hopefully they're kind of trying to get things done a lot sooner so that we don't have to wait until June, so that he's able to kind of, you know, become reunited with us, because we were able to talk to him last week and he still says, you know, he still misses us. He wants us to pick him up. He wants us to go pick him up. He, you know, he misses his room. He misses, you know, he misses being here and everything. So we obviously, you know, we miss him being here. It's so quiet, you know. It's so quiet, him being here. You know, it's like there was always kind of noise or something going on in the background while he was here, and now everything is just so quiet. We're just kind of like spending most of our afternoons just kind of sitting in front of the TV. And it's just like, and it's so quiet. So yeah, obviously we're desperate to get him here. Obviously we want, you know, we want his best, you know, in mind, and we want to keep that in mind as well, because we don't want to rush things. But at the same time, we know that he's connected with us in a way that he also wants to be here. So I mean, you know, we're working on that now. You know, we talked to foster mom, and foster mom as well is saying how he's constantly comparing things now there with how we did things here. You know, she does things, you know, she kind of threw it out in a joking manner, because she does things now and she compares it, well, Lily didn't do it this way. Lily doesn't do that this way. So just
which is surprising,
right? Which is surprising.
I thought,
right, because we didn't
because I thought he wasn't, you know, he wasn't paying attention to me much, or he needed space from me, or, you know, I was like, this kid does not like me. At one point, I was like, I cried a little bit, and I was like, well,
yeah, we didn't think, we didn't think at some point that, I don't think we didn't think she liked him.
When she said that he keeps comparing things, oh, that's not how Lily does it over there. I was like, oh. He was looking at me. He was paying attention, even though he was playing it off as he wasn't.
Yeah. And just the fact that he's throwing those things out there, which means that he's preferring things here. You know, he prefers to be here with us. He prefers our routines and the way that we do things versus now, you know, the things that he does in his foster home, you know, because now he has a comparison. Here he has his own room, he has all his toys, he has all of his attention, you know, we have, he has all of our attention and everything. So, you know, he's comparing it now. He goes, well, you know, this isn't how things were at the other house. I want to go back there, you know, because he's able to compare it, which is great.
And not to say anything about the foster family.
No, because I think they're great. Foster mom is great. They've done an amazing job
with him for the past time that he's been there. They have been amazing. It's a big family, which it goes with what you said. We give him all of our attention because it's just the two of us and him here with the dogs. But over there, you know, there's other kids. There's like more family. But we love her. She is amazing. She has done an amazing job with him so far. And even with the transition, she's helping us get things moving quicker. Yeah. So she, when we went through the MAP classes, which is what prepares you for like the fostering before the adoption and all of that stuff, they always mention how adopted parents have to work together with foster families to be able, you know, for the better of the kid. And in our case, it's been true.
Right, yeah.
Because she's the one that, you know, help us with communication. Like when we need to know anything about him, with doctor's appointments and follow-ups and little things like that we need to know, she's the one that tells us.
Yeah.
You know, getting him ready for visits. She's the one that talks to him for a whole week saying, you're going to go with my friends. You're going to
go, yeah. Right.
You know, and she prepares him so he knows where he's going and what he's going to be doing.
And it's
I wanted to point that out because sometimes people, through experiences and things that they hear, foster families are not always looked at from a positive view. But through our experience, it's been that this foster family truly cares about the kids, and they're doing the best they can to support them and help them
right
out, so.
And it's nice that we have now that relationship with the foster mom where we can kind of just like text her to see how he's doing. You know, we were able to text her a few weeks ago and be like, hey, can we talk to him? And she, you know, quickly responded and said, yeah, of course, you know, we'll call you on Monday so you can kind of say hi and everything. And, you know, we texted her the other day too to plan his next visit, which will be next month and everything, because he has that week off from school. So we were able to kind of just do that directly through her without having to go through caseworkers and having to, you know, go back and forth and have kind of that middle party going through to kind of plan these things, which was really, really nice because within a few hours we got his next visit kind of planned and set, and now we're preparing, kind of getting things ready for his next visit next month. So, you know, it's great that we have that relationship with her, and we feel comfortable just, you know, shooting her a text or whatever whenever
especially
we
now that we have
know.
to be back and forth until things are more permanent. So having that back and forth and that communication with that family is going to be very important for his smooth transition.
Right.
So everybody's kind of like working together, and so he can have a smooth transition and a positive one. It's not always like that, but thank God that, you know, we've taken the time. I think the team, his team, kind of underestimated him a little bit with the connection that he was gonna get, you know, have with us.
No one thought that he was going to bond with us as quickly as he did and as strongly as he did. No one imagined that he was going to have the reaction he did when he was going home. No one imagined the reaction, you know, how he was going to feel, you know, the few days after actually getting back to his foster home. Like, you know, it took, like I said, it took him a couple days to even recover from it. You know, he's going to school and to his program, and he's still emotional, you know, thinking about being here and being with us and thinking of his other home and everything. So, you know, everyone completely underestimated that, you know, which was, in a way, it was nice to kind of get that response from him as well, but that kind of, you know,
in a selfish way.
Right, in a selfish way, it was great for us. It was great for us, yeah.
At least after doubting ourselves and so many prayers, we felt confident that, okay, at least we did something
right. At least we did something right because he
wants
to be here and he wants to be with us. So, I mean, overall, it was an amazing first visit here. You know, he was able to meet family and everything and connect with our family as well. And we just had a great time, you know, spending through New Year's and that first week of the new year and everything. Like, 2022 for us started amazing. It started in an amazing way.
Aside from being sick, I think it started with, you know, in a way where it started with us being a family.
Right, exactly. You know, even though we were sick, we didn't even care that we were sick. We just loved the fact that we felt like parents, and we felt like a family, and our home felt kind of full and complete, and it was amazing to start off this year that way.
One last thing I wanted to mention, and this is for anybody out there that's thinking of adoption or kind of going through the process or whatever it is that you are in this huge up and down that it's adoption. Nobody prepares you for the attachment. Nobody prepares you for your emotions, because everybody is rightfully thinking of the kid first. Nobody's telling you how you're gonna feel. So during this time we learn that we have to prepare ourselves better, just because it broke our heart. Like when we left them over there,
it was rough.
When we left that house and we turned around and we were coming back, our booster seat empty in the back, and the toys that he left in the car that he didn't want to take with him, we broke down.
It was rough. Yeah, it's like we cry. I started crying on the way there. It was just, it was torture. It was, you know, that was probably the longest car ride I've ever been on. The worst car ride I've ever been on. Just thinking that we were going to take this kid back and you know, we weren't going to be able to see him for a little while. People don't prepare, you know, like Lily was saying, people are preparing the child for what the child is going to need. And yes, that's great, you know, because we don't want to be
strength.
Right. We don't want to be selfish and be like, well, it's about us, because we've always said it can't be about us. But in a way, it's still, I mean, we're the parents. We're going to be a part of this at some point. You know, it's going to have to be part, you know, about us at some point as well.
During this long period of time where we started the process of adoption, in the middle of trying to get picked, and, you know, through all of it, with our word from God, and what we've always prayed about is that it's not about us. It's about what God wants to do through us. But at the same time, we're still human. We're still emotional.
Right.
And nobody prepares you for what you're going to go through. So you have to, for us, faith is our first. So we lean on God for everything.
Right.
When it comes to praying for strength, praying for God to see us through every situation. But it was tough. It was really tough, because that night before he left, we were already crying.
Yeah.
We were trying to, we were trying to think positive and say, he's going to a great home. He's safe there.
He'll be back.
He likes, he loves his family. He calls her mom. So, you know, he feels comfortable there. But seeing him cry and saying that he wanted to come back with us, it took us by surprise.
That was the hardest thing.
And it was the hardest thing, because after we left that house, we just broke down in a way where we had to pray and say, God, this hurts. So we need you to give us supernatural strength in a way where we can be hopeful, because he's going to be back soon and we're going to be able to see him, and also give us the wisdom so we can get this thing rolling and get the transition done
and be prepared for his transition. With doctors and schools and therapists and everything. So I mean, that's pretty much it.
In a
nutshell. I know it's probably, you know, it's going to be another long video, you know, again, but I mean, we wanted to kind of tell you guys our experience and what happened, because I know a lot of people want to know, you know, how it was.
We get asked a lot.
We get asked a lot, you know, and it's kind of hard to really go into detail when you're kind of, you know, talking to someone in passing or, you know, or giving someone a really quick story, other than just kind of being able to really sit with someone and tell them everything from beginning to end. And even now, I mean, there's so much more that we can say, but again, we don't want this video to be super long. But I mean, we'll leave it here. We'll talk about this later on, you know, talk about, you know, how we're preparing for his next visit and the things that we're doing kind of to prepare for his eventual move and everything. So we'll leave it at this right now, you know.
If anybody has specific questions or anything that you want to know, let us know. Comment. Tell us what you're thinking. If you want to... if you want a special detail on something that we can share, we will share it.
Something you guys want more insight on or want us to kind of elaborate on, even the things that we've talked about in this video. If you guys want to elaborate on a certain story or specific things and stuff, definitely let us know. We'll make like a separate video on certain things.
Even if all you need is prayer and for God to show you what he wants to do, even if it's adoption or not, or a similar situation, please comment too. We'll pray you through it too. It's been great having a strong prayer team behind us. Our family are really strong on prayers, and they have been carrying us through. This is not just the two of us. Both of our families have been there with us since day one. They have been helping us not only financially but spiritually and in every way that they can. So it does take a village. And we're grateful for ours. So
I mean, thank you guys all for watching. You know, and we'll definitely keep you guys updated, and we'll see you all in the next one.